Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney back with you for another edition of the Throwdown with Chris Maloney, episode number 3. It is Wednesday this week, Wednesday, September the 20th, 2023, and I'm excited to be back. 3 for 3 so far. I will get to the excitement of last week as well as the weekend coming up in a bit. But I do have a special guest tonight, and it's a close personal friend of mine who I've known since the time I was 15 years old, a long time. But he's doing well. He's doing his own thing right now, and proud of him and proud to see the success and the accomplishments that he's done probably the past, 18 months or so. Year and a half, I want to say, getting close anyways. But quick intro. My name is Chris Maloney, London, Ontario, Canada. This is episode number 3 of the Throwdown. You can check us out social media, but you can get in touch with me at Chris Maloney, CWN. That's Reddit, Instagram, as well as X. Still getting used to saying X. Go through 2 little things first, and I'm going to do my interview. Red Sox, you can notice that the Patriots had going on here. It's they're pretty much done. Last week, they were 7.5 games behind for the wildcard position. This week, they're only 8.5 games behind the wildcard position. But elimination number, unfortunately for them, is 3, which means combination of 2 wins for one of the wildcard teams, 1 loss for the Red Sox. They're toast. So, yeah, you will be seeing me wear the Patriots hat as well as the Raptors hat coming up soon, as well as the Sens and the Devils. So, huge hockey fan, but we'll get more into that sometime. Some other episode, I guess. Pats lost against the Dolphins this past Sunday night. Fantasy football, though, I am 1-1 as far as ESPN goes, and NFL, I am 0-2. So pretty much sucking this year, but oh well, there's always next year. Also got some big news about the weekend. Like I said, I'll get to that after I do my interview. But guys, here it is. Here is an interview coming up with, like I said, somebody who I've known since I was 15 years old, met at Montcalm back in the days of throwing gummy bears up at the ceiling on our lunch hour. Playing euchre together. I don't think we even knew about being wrestling fans back in the day. I mean, I was huge. And then a gentleman who's coming up is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man, I believe, is what carried him into professional wrestling. But guys, longtime close personal friend, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling ring announcer and management member, Mr. Shawn Bates. Shawn, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. It's been quite the long and tiring week. If anybody knows what I've been doing with Hammerlock, and then a lot of us were also helping out Sebastian Suave with Smash Wrestling at the Western Fair this year. So 10 days, 20 shows. It was quite hectic, and it's just now winding down finally.
Yeah, I know with regards to, I saw Miley's post on Instagram, Miley, the Ballroom Blitzen, as they call her. And it was like 10 days, 23 matches, lots of bumps and bruises, but well worth it. And, I'm exhausted just from the couple of days I had, the Western Fair, everything else. I don't know how you guys did it. I mean, and there wasn't just yourself and Miley. There was a group of you guys that were just hardcore to the point, traveling, not just London, by the way, traveling all of a sudden all the way down to Sarnia, I think, at one point, and then all the way coming back just to be part of another show. I mean, you guys, I'm going to say this nicely, are nuts. I don't think I'd have the ability or the energy at my age, and we're the same age, but Shawn's got a lot more energy than I do nowadays. But that being said, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. One of the questions in here I'm going to get to in a little bit, but for those that don't know, Shawn is the ring announcer for Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. He is also management member as well. I've got a whole bunch of questions here in front of me for everybody to get to know Shawn as well as Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, where it's going, where it's been, what he hopes to achieve in 2024. Guys, if you listen live on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube right now, besides my questions, if you have any questions for Shawn, please feel free to post them in the comments. I'll be able to see them, read them on air, and then we'll go from there. But big number one question: how did the idea of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling come about, and how did the idea of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling become a reality?
To be honest, I was not at the nucleus of that. That was involving Tyson Dukes. I believe possibly Shannon Churchill might have been involved. Is Brickhouse McMguire's mother, and also Adam Davio and a few others were involved with that. I believe it sprung out from obviously the factory that Tyson ran, his school here in London, and a way to get his students in front of a crowd and working, and in his latter part of his career.
So I'm going to just pause the next question first. I put up that graphic behind us. Shawn, you want to explain what that graphic is and what that means to you?
That graphic that's behind you is almost all the crew that worked our August 12th show in St. Thomas. You'll see in the background on the right-hand side, that is a vintage engine from the Elgin County Railway Museum. And it's such a unique atmosphere for us to do a show there. But that show also was special because we had the Curtis family with us. Aiden Curtis was tragically killed by a possible drunk driver days before his 12th birthday. And we raised a little bit of funds for the family, but at the same time, we gave them smiles on their faces that they desperately needed. And this picture was taken after the show with the family. And yeah, a lot of gratitude was definitely had that day.
Hey guys, you can go on to the CWN Online Instagram account. You'll be able to see that picture in full. But if you go from left to right, looking at that picture, you got I almost said Beautiful Bay. That's always what I'm going to know her as, but it's Bitter Bay now. So Bitter Bay Moss. You got Shawn there. You've got it looks like Grayson. And then Brian White, so Grayson behind Brian White, and then leaning down, I don't know if you can see, but that's Diener. So Mr. Cody Diener from Impact Wrestling. And I was there that night. And the cool thing is about Diener is he knows how to get a crowd pumped. He also knows how to, like Shawn had said, put smiles on faces. Shawn, what were your thoughts on bringing in Diener for that event there in St. Thomas?
Well, we were already doing that with Diener because he hasn't wrestled in the St. Thomas area, he said, in about 10 years. And since we had the opportunity to do that show, he was available that day and asked if he could be on the card. We made room for him to be there. The sponsorship from Canadian Wrestling Network was also instrumental in making that happen with Diener to be there. And then he normally does his Giver for Charity, and it was for the Rumball Camp for the Deaf. But because of all the circumstances involving the Curtis family and Aiden's passing, I just could not do the Giver for Charity. We'd already did that in Stratford and raised $500 for him on that one. And it just didn't make sense to do his Giver for Charity when everybody in the whole town of St. Thomas was rallying around the Curtis family. And I knew we had to do something on our end to do that as well.
Yeah, for those people that don't know, Cody Diener, one of the most fascinating as well as one of the most giving in the in the area, and he's never let fame change him, so to speak. He's only gotten better without helping out communities and this and that. And I've seen on, I think it was Instagram or Facebook, he's got one of the busiest months coming up between wrestling as well as his motivational speaking. So it's it was an honor to be there that night. Speaking of Diener being phenomenal, you've got some great people helping you out with regards to Hammerlock Pure Wrestling on a regular basis. What do those people mean to you and the success of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling going towards the future there?
Since February, I basically took over. Adam moved up north to Sudbury due to work reasons. And, we still had the crew down here needing to still work. I own the wrestling ring. And yeah, everybody is like a family. So we had moved forward, and thankfully there's people like the Siegfried family John, Kim, and Emma, who have been great support in their different roles. And of course, Terry Butchard, who has done our roughing a couple times. He will be doing a roughing gig at the end of this month, but he's also been part of our crew doing the recording of the shows and editing. So you'll be able to actually see on Twitch sometimes when he edits a show, and you can see the behind the scenes of how that goes. And between John and Terry, they've been sort of people that I can bounce ideas off of when I get creative, and I'm always thinking about the next thing going on, and sometimes I'll use them as the sounding board.
So I just thought of something. So we were talking about St. Thomas just a few moments ago, and I know myself, I know timeline-wise, you had wanted to have the show be done by a certain time. I think you went over by about half an hour, which wasn't too bad. Now, St. Thomas about half an hour away from London, during good weather. When I came back to London, I got home probably about 11:30. Went through a rainstorm and darkness, and got lost again for the second time in a row. So, Shawn, just a question for you. For anybody thinking about putting on a wrestling event, because you did say you owned your ring, what is a night like for you? What is, if you go top to bottom, St. Thomas show, what time do you start first thing in the morning, and what time do you usually get home after you've dropped off the ring?
Yeah, good question. That is a whole day activity, because with Diener there, we also did a seminar before the show. So that included me going to Penske Trucks and picking up a truck at about 8 o'clock in the morning when they open, doing a couple errands, getting the water and everything, packing my stuff that I need, then meeting the guys at our storage area in Lambeth at about 11 o'clock to load up and hit the road, hopefully by noon at the latest, get into St. Thomas, unload, and set up a ring in time for 4 o'clock for the seminar to happen. You have the show, doors open at 6, show starts at 7, and this one, because we had the extended time for the extra matches and also intermission to raise funds for the family, it had 10 o'clock show over, but of course you have to still see the fans, then start taking apart the ring. I think we finally got it unloaded and back to my house for the night. It was about 12:30, 12:45-ish in the morning.
So guys, when you're watching TV and you hear about like the John Cena's or anybody saying how much they appreciate all the guys around them, Daniel Bryan says the exact same thing. That is why you no idea as a wrestling fan, and I'm a hardcore wrestling fan, always will be, never want to enter that side of the business, by the way. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, when you go to a show, you get in there, you see the ring set up, and you see, everything ready to take place. You don't understand sometimes how much hard work it goes into it. And I just want to say, as a wrestling fan, I appreciate what yourself and everybody else out there does, especially after seeing what took place at the Western Fair. And like I said, Miley had said 23 matches within 10 days. That's insane. Talking about Miley, follow-up question here. You've got a men's champion in Rodney Matthews, women's champion in the Ballroom Blitz in Miley. I just like her nickname is cool. She also comes out to what is it? Ballroom Blitz, isn't it?
Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah. Yep. You've watched them grow as performers since the beginning, to my knowledge. What are your thoughts on how far they've come alongside the other members of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling's roster?
For those two, it's amazing. I saw Rodney when he started up at the factory, and actually he was at the same time as Michael Grayson. So that's how they ended up forming their tag team Books and Looks. And they were doing that. If people go to my Scumbags of Wrestling YouTube channel, you can actually find the production line and see some of the students in their infancy. So you'd end up seeing Rodney Matthews, Michael Grayson, Ethan Dukes, Brian White, Mick McGuire, and all them learning. And then when it comes to Miley, I only met her actually at the Western Fair in 2019 after a Smash show with Factory Workers. And she wasn't in the business at that point. And I just chatted her up knowing that she was waiting for Rodney to get ready and be able to go home. And then when the pandemic ended and shows started up, all of a sudden, here's Miley. I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't realize. And so in about the 2 years that she's been doing this, she has advanced so much that she's worked pretty much everywhere in Ontario. She's even gone out to the East Coast to work some shows. And yeah, she's won some championships, including the Hammerlock one. But she's also one of the people that, because of where she's gone and who she's gone against, I'm able to reach out to her and go, hey, what do you think of this person, especially in the women's division, whether or not to bring them in or not?
Yeah, I forgot all about your production line. It's an insane and amazing all at the same time. And I might actually check that out sometime tonight or tomorrow, just because I forgot all about that, and you being there and watching these guys. I mean, I remember being at the London Music Hall and watching some of these guys wrestle for seemingly the first or second time, and to see how well they've progressed with regards to indie wrestling as well as Hammerlock Pure Wrestling in general is absolutely amazing. I did, so you know this. I was at the Western Fair on Friday with two of my daughters as well as my wife. And being there, Vikram Prasher was sitting at the table, and I told my wife Christine, I was like, you know what? I said, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. So I went up, shook Vikram's hand gently, by the way, because he's all busted up right now, and introduced Christine to him. And I said, hey, this outside of the ring, one of the nicest guys you probably meet. Inside the ring, complete a-hole. And he just smiled at me, and he couldn't say yes, couldn't say no. But yeah, he's another guy. Bryce Hanson, Chili Brown. You've got a ton of members, a ton of talent on the roster, which leads me to my next question. 2 individual singles champions. On the topic of Hammerlock Pure Wrestling Champion, there's one championship that I would like to personally see become a reality with regards to Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. And I've talked to the Drifters about this, and they're in agreement. You've got Books and Looks as part of the tag team division. You've got the newly formed Ethan Dukes as well as Mick McGuire. So if you wonder where I'm going, tag team championship, are we going to see that become a reality, and has it been talked about?
That has been a goal for a while. When Adam and I were discussing plans for Hammerlock in December, it included the fact that year 1, we had a men's championship, or the whole championship in that matter. This past May, I introduced the women's title. And so year 3, which we're actually going to be starting September 25th, is our anniversary, 2-year anniversary. The goal for year 3 is to bring in the tag team titles. Just throwing some other names in there, because you mentioned 3 tag teams for sure. Unfortunately, we don't have High Octane anymore because they split, but we are going to be bringing in the new year. What is it? Oh, great. I just drew a blank. The Backwoods Butcher is going to be here with his tag team partner. And Airstrike, that was the name I was thinking of. Forte and Arrow are going to be joining us in the new year. And who knows what other tag teams are going to be coming up afterwards.
So John Siegfried, as you previously mentioned, said just got on here late. So he is watching as we're doing this. So John is a very good guy. I had the unfortunate couple of years of working with his stepdad, but I'll leave it at that. How's it going, Harvey? Harvey's a good guy, just bad taste with regards to sports. Where are we here? Hammerlock Pure Wrestling's motto is bringing back the golden age of professional wrestling. So many independent promotions here in the province of Ontario. What makes Hammerlock stand out amongst them?
Definitely our style. We kind of liken ourselves to Mid-South. People from old school wrestling in 1985 and back will remember that sort of grappling style. Bill Watts, I guess, was the most famous person for the rules of not going over the top rope, not jumping off the top rope, disqualifications and stuff like that. WCW saw that sort of era, I believe 92-ish, when Bill Watts was running things over that way. but it's more a grappling style. That's not to say that we don't have some high-flying action here and there, because people can still use the second turnbuckle and get things off the second rope. We just try and keep it more traditional in that sense, and it's showing athleticism over it basically being a lot of spots and a routine. And so just to go, with your question, though, looking at the Ontario scene, even just here in Southwestern Ontario and London, we haven't been in London yet, but because of our Rogers deal, we are looking to come into the London scene. And we already have two other organizations in London, being Greektown with Channing Decker and Smash with Sebastian Suave. Adding Hammerlock, it's three different styles of wrestling. If you liken it to us being the AWA and NWA from the 80s, Sebastian Suave has basically your WWE sports entertainment side of things, and you have Channing Decker and Greektown with a little more hardcore edge to them, somewhat AEW and ECW style. So there's three different styles, and I think London can support that as long as they're a wrestling fan, and all three can survive and prosper.
I tell you this, there's sometimes that you take things for granted in life, and one of them being a wrestling fan is the privilege and the opportunity of the amount of wrestling that we get to see here down in the London area. And I say London, it's London, Sarnia, Windsor, Toronto, Hamilton, all over the place. And I mean, I'm a kid from New Brunswick, right? And the fact is you get a couple promotions down there, but to be able to see live wrestling pretty much monthly is pretty cool. And Hammerlock, when you go to a Hammerlock show, it's a different feel to it, and the fans are very unique. As far as now, you had mentioned with regards to High Octane being one of those tag teams, and they no longer exist. I tell you this, 100%. Chili Brown's mom, not a fan of Bryce Hanson, but when that happened, when Bryce turned on Chili, I was there, and then all of a sudden, when they went at it that next show, the fans just ate it up there in St. Thomas. It's absolutely amazing. And I've seen the same thing happen with your shows in Strathroy. Down at the Western Fairgrounds, you see the same thing. So my 5-year-old daughter was with me on Friday night, and, introduced her to wrestling for the very first time, because she always like, Daddy, I want to go. And sure enough, we're down there, and I'm like, Emma, this is Emma, who's in the ring, but Miley is her name. And I'm like, okay, match is just starting to get underway. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go get some food. Let's go on a ride. No, Daddy, I want to stay. I've already created a monster at 5 years old. And that is what happens at Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, is you forget sometimes that you're at a wrestling show because you get involved so much as, just being a fan. I'm saying this for a reason. You've been a fan of pro wrestling for a very, very long time. And I've seen you get that itch where you wanted to be involved with regards to a promotion. You'd watch and create your own storylines, the same way I did when I was a kid, LJNs and everything else. But the thing is, when the last show that you had in St. Thomas, I was doing interviews for you to be able to do whatever you wanted to with them. And I'm going to say this. I love and respect your roster, but I did not at all 100% being on that side of the curtain. It was keep me ringside, keep me out there. Being behind that curtain is a whole different aspect, a whole different avenue. A lot of appreciation, a lot of respect for doing what you do. But what is it like for you to be on the other side of the curtain, putting on shows, and what's your philosophy like when it comes to booking?
Well, I do want to say also, just to go back a slight bit, when I talk about other promotions, my general aspect is I want to collaborate over having competition. So I don't feel anybody is really competition. There's room for all of us. I was down in Sarnia helping out Cam Valley Wrestling, because I believe in all promotions succeeding. And that's why, as well, I was helping out Smash this past week. If we can help out anywhere, that's our plan. There's no competition. Back to your question, though, it is almost like being able to write your own stories. I compare it at work in drama class that, I get to make individual plays each and every show, as opposed to the guy who directs us in our program. He has the same play all the time. These interchange. When it comes to me booking, I usually send out a message to the talent roster to find out who's available for what day. They usually respond to me by a certain time. And then I start looking at who's in my toy box, basically, and who I want to match up. Just like you said with the LJN figures and the Hasbros, now I know who's in my box. I can pull them out and match them up and figure out the storylines from there. I had conversations with Tyson Dukes with the fact that we are going to be doing TV, and he simply said, keep the story simple and don't overcomplicate it. It's not WWE drama and soap opera going on. If we present concise and clear stories, then people are going to understand and follow. You mentioned us in St. Thomas, 2 back-to-back shows. You saw the breakup of High Octane. The next time when we went there on August 12th, the people remembered what happened with Bryce and Chili. They opened up the show, and Bryce had nuclear heat from that crowd because they remembered the simple story of what's going on. And simply put, Bryce's motivation wasn't necessarily against Chili. He's holding him back a bit, but Bryce wants that title. You're going to see the fact that he got so close in April in Tilsonburg of defeating Rodney Matthews that he got close to that taste of gold. He had a shot at Tyson Dukes. Now he wants that belt. This is why he needed to break ties with Chili Brown. And people are going to see that development as we get his character going.
Yeah, he is on par to become a legitimate badass, by the way. And he's got I wouldn't say Dominic Mysterio heat, but man, he's got heat, especially at that St. Thomas show. Both shows actually, the end of the High Octane thing where he turned on Chili, and then basically the two of them going at it. And Chili's a sweetheart, man. It's like, how can you not like the guy, and especially when his mom's ringside and this and that as well. Now, you've touched on it a couple times, and officially 2 nights from now, it's going to be very cool as a wrestling fan to see it on TV. I checked the schedule. It is on the schedule. And you know what I'm talking about. But this coming Friday night, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, Episode 1, makes its debut here in London on Rogers TV. How did the deal with Rogers TV come to be a reality?
Just before, so I'm going to say May-ish, when we were advertising for our June 2nd show in St. Thomas, Jeremy Parking from Rogers TV here in London happened to stumble upon my ad on social media and discovered that there's actually local promotion in the London area. And he reached out, wondered what we do, about our footage and stuff like that. We had a meeting at the station, and then he turned me over to Chris Bergholtz. And Chris does the production for the London Knights games. He does production for Delaware Speedway events. And yeah, it just snowballed from there. We agreed that we're going to start showing episodes from our February 2023 and moving forward in our library. So that's going to be Jobsite Brewery in Stratford that we did a 2-show thing there. So we had the first 3 episodes, I believe, are those matches from Jobsite Brewery. And so that is a huge thing on that. And I actually also got to choose my time slot in a way, and I wanted it right after the Knights games, so you have hockey fans and wrestling fans hopefully streaming together and enjoying local action, whether it's on the ice or in the rink, and supporting everything that's local. But I will tell you right now, and here's an exclusive that you didn't even know, sir, that starting October 4th, thanks to our friend Brian White in Sarnia, Kojiko TV has reached out to him and got us connected. And October 4th, Hammerlock will be in Sarnia on your TV, Kojiko.
So yeah, that is something I didn't know, but that is absolutely cool as well. A follow-up question before I ask the final two questions here is how. No, I know you're serious promoter management dude for Hammerlock Pure Wrestling now, but how much is the fan inside of you jumping up and down knowing that you're going on right after Knights games? Because I know you're a huge London Knights fan, as well as in the month of September where school has just cut back as far as the Western and Fanshawe.
Yeah, it's a really awesome time. We got the 2-year anniversary. I just double checked it on our website. So that's September 25th. And to know where the last 2 years have gone, and even this year with me taking over with the direction of things, I've got the blessing from Tyson giving a thumbs up that he's loving where it's going. A lot of people are getting on board, and I think that year 3 is going to be very successful, and we're going to get bigger and better. A lot of good things coming. You got people, talent reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'd love to be on your show. Talent that you might not even expect to want to be on a Hammerlock show with our rules. They're wanting to be there. I have people like Tony Braga and his daughter Jessica who want to help us with social media and reaching out and doing marketing. There's a lot of people now, the pieces are starting to come into place where I know I can run a show and I know what I want to see in a show, but the back end I've had the difficulties doing with getting the advertising and sponsors and stuff like that. And that's starting to get in place as well behind the scenes. So like I said, year 3, there's a lot of momentum coming, and I can only imagine what the future holds.
And the cool thing about that as well is the fact is, as far as your talent goes and the people surrounding you, you've got all the support in the world. I mean, this thing is starting to take off, and with the Rogers deal in place, and you see Kojiko taking place down in October down there in Brian Whiteland, so to speak. It's it's interesting to see where Hammerlock Pure Wrestling is going to be a year from now. So
because those TV deals actually get us into Woodstock, Tillsonburg, St. Thomas, Strathroy, London, and then over with Kojiko, it's, I believe, Chatham, Sarnia, and possibly Windsor. And we'll see where things go on that, but we're going to try and be everywhere possible in Southwestern Ontario at the very least in 2024.
Again, the little kid inside of you is jumping up and down. Yeah, but it's very cool. It's very cool to hear, and my wife Christine, not a wrestling fan, supports whatever I want to do as far as wrestling goes. But she's happy and excited for you as well. So episode number 1 coming up 10 o'clock, scheduled anyways, depending on how long that night's game goes, and then the wrap following it as well. But episode number 1 coming up live this Friday night, Rogers TV here in the city. So that's channel number 13. What can fans expect as far as matches go with regards to episode number 1?
We have 4 matches that are lined up. It opens up with Jack taking on Ethan Dukes. We have Jesse Loon against Bryce Hansen. The debut of Vanna Black in Hammerlock Pure Wrestling going against Miley, and the debut of the Drifters, which is Isaiah Cross and Wade Allen, taking on Books and Looks in the main event. So it's a huge first card that we have going out. It will be replayed on September 29th after the night's game. Chris Burkholz wants to be able to promote it during the season opening of the night's games and give that another shot in the arm. And I did forget to mention that our commentating team consists of Keith Hamilton and Mark LaBelle. People will recognize Mark LaBelle's name as your Fresh Morning host on 103.1 Fresh FM here in London.
Yeah, cool thing about that. So when you had told me about that, I think back in June, and I was like, I know that guy. So last year I had my wife's a teacher, and my 5-year-old who was 4 back then started JK, and we I drive them to school every single morning. and my wife, fan of Fresh FM. So there was this Mark guy who was always talking about wrestling on the air and trying to get his kid into it and this and that. And I was like, man, this is at first a radio DJ who's a wrestling fan. And then Shawn, sure enough, is like, hey, guess who's doing the commentary for Hammerlock? I'm like, no way. So well familiar with that guy's voice, but he's a very passionate wrestling fan. I can say that. One more thing before I get to the final question. Now, this I've seen in person quite a few times. What is it with people hugging you?
Michael Grayson's just a real big hugger. He will hug everybody. Like when he gets into the ring, he won't stop at hugging the referees either, which might be a disadvantage for his opponents. Who knows? But he even offers a hug to his opponent. But yeah, Michael Grayson makes it a point to give me a hug after I've announced his name to the ring. And that happened for 20 plus matches this past week at the Western Fair as well. So yeah, it's just, we're all family, and it's really cool. Speaking of families, just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the sponsors that do help us, like Doug Terry Homes, Capsock Brewery, Jobsite Brewery, Rusty Wrench in Strathroy. There's a lot of people that help make this happen, and we'd love to welcome other people, especially in London, to make it happen for us to come home to London.
So yeah, that being said, Capsock Brewery, recommend them 100%. So we were at the beach. We went to Port Stanley one day. On the way back, I was like, I'm going to see if I can find this place. Sure enough, find this place by 6 tall boys, individual ones, because I wanted to try them all out. And all I can say is phenomenal. So yeah, keep Caps Off on board. Very friendly staff too, as far as the venue, the atmosphere there goes. And
yeah,
as far
Fran
as
and her family are great.
As far as the hugging goes, by the way, it's not just Grayson. I've seen Seb Suave hug you in Toronto, and the August show that you did up in St. Thomas, when I was saying goodbye to Mick McGuire, he gave me a hug. So it's a hugging atmosphere there in Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. So if you ever had to change the name, you'd have to take that H and make it into something about hugging, huggable, whatever the case may be. But again, Shawn had said family friendly, and it definitely is. So I'm going to see if I can bring up this graphic. It's been a long time since I've done graphics or an interview on the show. But bear with me just a sec there, guys. So I'm going to share screen. I'm going to attempt or not attempt. Where did it go? Okay, hold on. Bear with me. Guys, listen to audio. Yeah, I'm kind of being an a-hole on my own show because I can't figure this stuff out. I'll try one more time. Oh, there we go. This might actually work. Let's see. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
I'm going to get rid of this one thing. There we go. So you see Shawn on the left-hand side here. Shawn, you sent me 3 graphics. Maybe just explain upcoming shows for Hammerlock. Just maybe go one by one here.
Yeah, on my end, I'm not seeing the graphic, but I'm guessing the first one up that you have is our October 9th, which is Thanksgiving Day, and we have Dorchester Fair at 1 p.m. We are going to be the highlight of your Thanksgiving Day. The dog show isn't going to be there. It's going to be Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, cotton candy, candy apples, pogos, and rides. But come on out to the fair. It is $8 for adults, $4 for kids, and I believe public school age. And we have 6 matches that are going to happen that day, including Rusty Blackwell taking on Chili Brown, Bryce Hanson against Brian White. We have the Drifters taking on the team of Mick McGuire and Moondog Ethan Dukes. Jack is going to take on Dale Kilburn. The women's title will be defending a triple threat match with Miley defending against Bitter Bia Moss and Vanna Black. And your main event, after winning number 1 contentionship, it's going to be Books challenging Looks. Michael Grayson challenging Rodney Matthews for the Hammerlock Pure Wrestling Championship. So those are 6 great matches that are going to happen on that one. And we are recording it also for a future broadcast with our Rogers and Kojiko TV deal.
And you've got gates at 10 a.m. and then bell time at 1. That's correct?
Yes. So the gates for the fair will open at, there's the graphic. The gates will open at 10 a.m. for the fair itself. We'll be setting up the ring and making sure it's all good to go. And 1 o'clock, we will be presenting our show.
All right, very good. Next graphic here is I'm gonna announce it to you as far as audio goes. So Saturday, November 4th, what's taking place there?
Okay, so we are returning to our friends over at Jobsite Brewery, which is 45 Cambria Street in Stratford, Ontario. Tickets are going to be $20. I just finally got them printed today and picked them up from a printer and hope to have them dropped off this weekend for starting to sell. But it's Jobsite Brewery is one of our favorite locations and very unique location. You're going to see that on the first 3 episodes of our show. And we are going to return there for a 7 o'clock bell time. Doors open at 6. And there's going to be both titles will be defended. I'm not sure who will be challenging, who will be defending, but challenging for the women's title is going to be Casey Spinelli that night.
So it used to be it used to be 2 Scoops. Now it's Angel Face Spinelli, isn't it?
Big K, little C Spinelli as well. So it depends on where she is.
So yeah, doors open at 6 for that one, and bell time is at 7. And then we go to the final graphic here, January the 20th of 2024. What's taking place there? I see 9 huge matches. That is going to be
9
phenomenal.
huge matches. Yes, we are partnering up with the Fighting Irish. I will also say we have partnered up with After the Lounge, a band here in London. So you'll be able to hear some of their music on our shows and stuff like that, and our social medias. But the Fighting Irish hockey team from Stratford, they have asked us to do a 3-hour extravaganza with 9 matches involving some of their hockey players. It's going to be a bit of a fundraiser for them, and we're doing the shows. We're going to have our cameras there. Both titles. Alexia Nicole is coming in to challenge whoever the women's champion is. That one. That is where also Airstrike is going to be there. Or Forte and Arrow. I keep on forgetting their name. I apologize. A lot going through my mind. But they're going to be there. We're going to have 2 tag team matches, 2 women's matches. Zandra Lee is going to be in one of those women's matches as well. And there's one other thing that's special that's going to happen, and I'm going to hold off on that announcement for another episode here with you. But it's going to be a big announcement involving that show as well.
Yeah, and Shawn told me about the announcement. I'm stoked about it. It's going to be a phenomenal night there in Stratford. Again, doors open at 5, bell time at 6. And the one thing I didn't mention about St. Thomas is the fact is much like Stratford. I haven't attended a Stratford show yet, but the atmosphere from the photos I've seen as far as Stratford goes is absolutely amazing. The Elgin County Railway Museum, it's so interesting and unique to see matches taking place, see a wrestling ring set up, and see all these gigantic trains surrounding the ring. It's probably one of the coolest venues I've been to as far as a wrestling show goes, and that's like independent wrestling or with regards to pro wrestling as well. It's cool, and I still every time I see even that photo that's in the background there, you see the big trains behind. It's so weird watching something I've loved since the time I was 3 years old and seeing all these trains behind. So it'd be cool to see you return to St. Thomas sometime, but I'm happy to know that you're still doing Stratford. I'm going to try to make it out for that show in November. But
my goal is to bring our shows to as many unique places as possible. Anybody can set down a ring in a church hall or a Legion and do a show, and that's not a knock on any organization that does that. But if I can create a unique space for a show to happen, it's going to enhance the whole show for the fans, for our talent. Our talent love going to both Job Site Brewery and to the Elgin County Railway Museum because of how unique it is compared to any other venues that they participate in and perform. So if I can do that, it's something unique for us and we'll be remembered for it.
So yes, very good. I want to take this time to thank Hammerlock Pure Wrestling ring announcer as well as management member Shawn Bates for being here, part of this show. Can't wait for Friday night, Rogers TV. I'm stoked. Watch your London Nights, watch your WWE SmackDown, whatever the case may be. But once that's done, head on over to Rogers 13 here in the city, or as Shawn had said, outside of the city as well. And then look forward to Kojiko come October. But Shawn, how can people check out Hammerlock Pure Wrestling as far as online goes?
Online, you can see our YouTube channel. All our shows are up there. Currently without the commentary from Mark and Keith, but once the commentary episodes have been shown on Rogers and Kojiko, I'll be able to put them up on our site. You can also, I believe, go to the Rogers site. If you don't have Rogers and you're on satellite or something, you can go to their website and watch it from there. And, of course, we have X, which unfortunately I don't use too much. We have Instagram. We just opened up a Threads account. We have just opened up a TikTok account, which Jessica is working on, those sort of things. Of course, Facebook is always there. And our website for sure is hammerlockpurewrestling.com. Very responsive. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to get involved, want to help out in any way, I am quick to respond to you, especially if it's on Messenger with Facebook. And we're definitely open for business and family friendly.
Yeah, so guys, check them out if you get a chance. Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. If you want to see what they're about for free, check them out on Rogers this coming Friday. But Shawn, it's been a pleasure, honor, as always. And like I said, proud of every accomplishment you've made. Looking forward to year 3. Looking forward to those tag team championships, by the way. And, I can't wait till Friday. I can't wait for your upcoming shows to take place as well. I just want to take this time to say thank you very much for being part of this show. I'm going to play the unofficial opening that Shawn had sent me with regards to Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, and then I'll jump into some regular pro and independent wrestling as well after the break here. But Shawn, once again, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for your time. And if you need me for any comments with the rest of the show, I'll be in the background.
All right. Very that interview with Shawn Bates, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling ring announcer as well as management member. And like I said, it's absolutely phenomenal to see what he's done with Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. I think I attended the first show I went to for Hammerlock was back in Strathroy last year, and it was different seeing Shawn in the ring as a ring announcer, kind of learning the ropes, so to speak. But now he's got that confidence. He was part of the Western Fair this year as far as the wrestling shows there goes. St. Thomas, I went to both shows, absolutely phenomenal. And again, the atmosphere was absolutely insane as far as St. Thomas goes. And like I said, just the venue and everything else. And everybody was courteous and friendly as well, which was absolutely cool. Guys, like I said, started the show. I talked about the Red Sox, everything else, but the big news and sad news at that was Emile Duprée passed away at the age of 86 years old. Now, that being said, with regards to myself, I grew up in the Maritimes, and because I grew up in the Maritimes, to me, WWE, I would catch it when I can. WCW didn't exist yet. It was the NWA, but it was mainly for me WWE when I can catch it. That was back in the days, WWF, by the way. AWA, and that was on TSN, ESPN. Then we had every Monday night at 6, which was Stampede Wrestling. Then every Saturday on this thing called ATV, so Atlantic Television, was kind of like a sub channel, I guess, so to speak, of CTV. But that every Saturday, 2 p.m., Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling would come on. And you could see guys like the Cuban Assassin and Big Steven Pettipaw, as well as Leo Burke. And I loved Leo Burke like he was Hulk Hogan, man. He was it for me, and the way he'd feud with the Cuban Assassin. But that was all presented, and it was all because of Emile Duprée. So I learned about Emile Duprée when I was a young kid, like probably maybe 9-10 years old. And he was a huge part of me being a wrestling fan as a kid. Like he was up there with Vince McMahon and the NWA guys who, for whatever reason, I'm forgetting their names. But Emile Duprée, just a little backstory about him. This is a courtesy of Wikipedia, by the way. Born October 20th, 1936. Passed away September 17th, 2023. Canadian professional wrestling promoter. Also the father of former WWE superstar Rene Duprée. And the cool thing is he was born in Shediac, New Brunswick. I was born in St. John, New Brunswick. He's born in Shediac. Shediac is northeast of St. John, about 2 hours away or so. Goes on to talk about his professional wrestling career. Began training in 1955. It's absolutely insane. He goes on to Grand Prix Wrestling in 1977. And they, were doing their summer tours on all of the stuff as well. And the fact is, when it comes down to Emile Duprée, you'd always look forward to that summer tour. And that was the stuff that I grew up on. It was the stuff that was always on with regards to, television. Like I said, Saturdays at 2 p.m. and the days of Leo Burke and Cuban Assassin. And I'm forgetting, a lot of names. But it was sad for me personally to hear about Emile Duprée. Emile went into Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Presented by CWN this past January. He was voted into the honor category, which basically, to anybody unfamiliar with it, is basically dedicated to a Canadian creator, journalist, manager, promoter, referee, trainer that excelled in the business. And like I said, he was inducted this past January into the hall. There's a tribute video that was posted with regards to Emile Duprée by Rene. Rene has a podcast of his own, and basically he's got a partner that he does it alongside. The partner presented, the tribute video to Rene, to Emile, about I'd say 3 minutes in length. But it doesn't at all do justice as far as the legacy, and the legendary status that Emile Duprée had. So I just wanted to pay tribute to him with regards to, him passing away, 86 years old, long life, obviously heavily involved with wrestling. His son, heavily involved in wrestling, Rene, and then all of a sudden Rene had gotten out of it for a few years, but now he's back. He's back doing his thing. He's in terrific shape, phenomenal shape. But there I go, stuttering my words. But I just want to take this time to say thoughts and prayers and strength with the family, friends of Emile Duprée. And like I said, thanks for the memories as far as Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling goes. And guys, I always do tidbits as well as topics now. It is 7:55 or 7:53, and I was thinking, hey, I'm going to get off with regards to AEW tonight. I was like, I got it on PVR or whatever. But I just want to go and mention a few things here. So UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Shevchenko 2 took place last Saturday. One of the first times in UFC history, I think as far as females go, that they went to a draw. So Grasso retains the UFC women's flyweight championship. Another big piece of news: Masha Slamovich becomes the highest ranked woman in the history of PWI 500, ranked number 15. So congratulations to her. Dirty Dom to defend the NXT North American Championship on Raw against Dragon Lee. That's something, because NXT No Mercy is coming up. Mustafa Ali is taking on Dom, but he's defending the championship against Dragon Lee on Raw. So they're going to make it into a triple threat, or we're going to see a changing of the guard, so to speak. I think if I were to take a guess as a wrestling fan, it's going to be a triple threat. But they're going to do big things with Dragon Lee. It's only a matter of time. Speaking of Raw, viewership hits new record low, 18-49 demo ratings rise. And Raw, I think, if I can bring that up quickly here, just give me a sec, guys. It's funny how I'm going to WB stuff and I could just go to my own website. Imagine that. So record low, like I said, with regards to WB Raw, and I think it was 1.28 or 1.29. Might even been 1.31. Just not doing the math right now, but record low, like I had said. So not the greatest for Raw. Now they were up against Monday Night Football, of course. It is football season. AEW is going through the exact same thing with regards to college football, and hockey's are on the horizon. NBA is on the horizon, so it's going to be interesting to see. These if WB can rebound as well as AEW. Report Richard Holiday among the names attending WB tryouts this week. This I wanted to bring up because I thought it was cool. Richard Holiday, obviously MLW. He went through a bout with cancer, defeated cancer, so it is cool to see him progress into back into wrestling and getting a tryout down there in Orlando. Some of the other competitors that were part of this was Matty Rakowski, Copeland Barbie. Hopefully I pronounced that right. David Goldie, a Monster Factory trainee, competed on AEW Dark. Jay Malechi, AEW Television as well. Some big names, some other big names as well. Valentina Rossi wrestled in WoW and then AEW. Jasmine Allure, who I've heard that name before. And this one I thought was cool. Brogan Finley, who's the son of Fit Finley and the brother of David Finley. So you see another Finley there in the WWE. I think that would be cool. From there, Chris Jericho, AEW is absolutely better than it was a month ago. Did an interview with regards to Busted Open. So guys, you can check that out. Referring obviously to All In and CM Punk. And that's CM Punk, CFF, I forget the name of Cage Fighting Fury Championships, I think it is. He does commentary for it, but he had mentioned with regards to he's got to sit on the fence for 2 months and then he can kind of do whatever he wants to. So that being said, it'll be interesting Survivor Series time what happens with CM Punk and whether the buzz hits and whether or not WB decides to take a chance on him. From there, Butch and Joe Coffey to square off at NXT Global Heritage Invitational Final that is taking place next week on NXT, followed by the match at No Mercy against Noam Dar. NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on Tiffany Stratton in Extreme Rules match. That was announced officially last night. Last night's rating, by the way, for NXT 824. The prior week was 850. That was Becky winning the championship. So the cool thing is Becky is making a difference as far as ratings go for NXT. Sukuban to launch on Thursday will stream exclusively on TikTok. Not too familiar with that, but the fact is a promotion launching exclusively and staying on TikTok is kind of weird. I mean, just I don't know if I can watch wrestling on my cell phone in the year 2023, but you know what? Who cares? Somebody will be interested in it. New Japan star Francesco Akira, who I get to see this past Saturday. I'll go more into my weekend coming up here, guys. Talks about missing Italy, talks TJP, Impact X Division, as well as more. That is courtesy of George Mackay, Straight Talk Wrestling. That interview launched today, so you can check that out on YouTube. Randy Orton was seen at the Performance Center. It'd be interesting to see if he's going to make a comeback and when it's going to happen. But the cool thing is he is back training, which is great. AEW's Jake Hager says he officially retired from MMA. That was announced today. I can't remember the last time he actually did a match. I think it was for Bellator, but with Bellator, the rumors of them being sold, whatever the case may be, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. But Jake Hager is officially done. UFC posted $611 million revenue from January till June. Because they're public now as far as TKO goes, fact is, when it comes down to it, they have to announce the revenue, they have to announce their expenses, they have to announce everything that's been going on. With regards to TKO, there's a story breaking now with regards to Vince McMahon from the LA Times. What's been said is the fact is if he gets criminally charged or civil suit or whatever the case may be, he is no longer allowed to sit on the board of directors. I don't know how accurate that is yet, but like I said, I saw that just before I started the show tonight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Vince McMahon. I know he pissed off a few of his employees at a meeting just recently. So, he's still healing from that surgery as well, but Vince McMahon's still in the news. This I thought was cool. So the bump today, WB Hall of Famer Molly Holly to run the 2023 New York City Marathon for Connor's Cure. That she's a phenomenal lady. I got a chance to interview her, back in the days of MySpace, and it wasn't a one-on-one interview. It was basically an interview through text, so to speak. So it was like 15 questions and she had just finished with the WB, I think, and so basically it was 15 questions with Molly Holly, Nora Greenwald. And I wish I had kept that interview. I forget my login for MySpace. Obviously, it's It's there someplace out there in the internet, but it's I've never been able to find it again. But anyway, cool thing is she's going to run the 2023 New York City Marathon, which is great. World Heavyweight Championship match officially announced for MLW Slaughterhouse. Alex Kane is set to defend it against Davey Boy Smith Jr., fine Canadian right there. And just before I came on the air too, anybody who's a fan of WB trading cards, WB terminates partnership with Panini for breach of contract, and they are going to continue their relationship with Fanatics. So it looks like Fanatics is going to be, going on and multitasking. Fanatics is going to be going and moving on with the trading cards there. Topics, I've got a few here. I think I'll do the topics and then basically break into the weekend and this and that. And it's I just want to mention this Impact 1000. So maybe I'll talk about this. So last week I was on this show on Thursday, and I always have a habit of putting my phone on silent as well as my watch on silent as I'm doing the show. I say that I'm 3 episodes in, but that has been my habit as of late. So I do the show last week, and I get off in time to be able to watch Impact 1000. Sure enough, turn on my phone and I get a notification, and it's like, hey, are you available? And I'm like, here we go. So I talked to my wife and I was like, hey, yeah, Josh needs me. And she's like, okay. And she fully understands. And anyway, next thing you know, I get off of my podcast, say, yeah, I'm good to go about 8:30. And then sure enough, I jump on to the Wrestling Observer to do my recap for Impact 1000. I was going to watch the show anyways, but I went from doing a 1-hour podcast to about 2.5 hours of typing. I was exhausted. But that being said, nothing like what, the week or the weekend, so to speak, the 10 days were for the Hammerlock crew and this and that. So, but week 1 highlights: Tracy Brooks going to Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, Bound for Glory. Chris Sabin winning the X Division Championship for the 10th time, as well as the Dudley Boys Team 3D, reformed. And apparently Devon has the itch again to be part of, to be a wrestler again. So we'll have to wait and see. I know they just recently, it was announced they signed a Legends deal with the WB. So whether or not they stick around Impact Wrestling, I don't know. I think Bully Ray in Impact Wrestling is that's where he should be right now. So to have Devon there with him, I think would be cool. Report: Dana Warrior gone from WB as part of post-merger layoffs that took place last week. It kind of sad to see, for not because she was really instrumental on TV or anything like that, but because of the fact that when Warrior died, she was given a job to help out herself and her kids. She's been, a part of that Warrior Award anytime the Hall of Fame. But of course, with the merger taking place, TKO now existing, they have the ability to do whatever they want to, firing, hiring, whatever the case may be. So she was let go from the WB. SmackDown results last week: John Cena. I mentioned this to Shawn as well. So I'm there on the Friday, and all of a sudden we're doing everything at the Western Fair, myself, my wife, 2 daughters, and we're enjoying the Western Fair and enjoying the wrestling that was taking place that night. And sure enough, I get home and I log in, and sure enough, it's the Rock has made a return. I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? So who's making up fake news here? So I turn on, and sure enough, at PBR SmackDown, and the Rock's there, and he's doing his promo with Pat McAfee. And then he, does the skit there with John Cena in the back. And I'm like, man. And then somebody made sense to me. It's like, there's an actor's strike going on in Hollywood. He's really got nothing else to do right now. So don't be surprised if this isn't a one-off. Don't be surprised if all of a sudden maybe he enters the Royal Rumble. Maybe he does something with Roman Reigns at Survivor Series, because apparently, with regards to The Rock, the day before he had said that WrestleMania 39 it was in the books as far as him and Roman Reigns went. The fact is they couldn't sit there and plan out anything that was going to be brand new or anything that was going to look exciting. So that's why plans failed, apparently. Now, whether or not that's BS, I don't know. But what's not BS is The Rock is back, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Big news as well. Jade Cargill expected at the WWE Performance Center this week. That news came out on the 17th, followed by WWE working on high-priority main roster creative for Jade Cargill. This was announced yesterday. She comes into WWE, she's going to kill everybody. Think about her and Charlotte Flair. Think about her and Bianca Belair. That's right there to me. That is money. Her going in to ring against Asuka or Io Shirai, or Io Sky now, sorry, or the returning Kairi Sane. That is going to be interesting. But to see Jade Cargill on one side and you've got Bianca Belair on the other side. Man, that's a dream match right there. Maybe they'll build it up for WrestleMania. I don't know, but they're skipping NXT apparently and bringing her up to the main roster. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jade Cargill. Guys, I want to mention this. AEW Dynamite Grand Slam 2023 taking place tonight. It's like a pay-per-view on TV. MJF versus Samoa Joe for the world title. Saraya versus Toni Storm for the women's world title. Claudio Castagnoli taking on Kofi Kingston, Eddie Kingston for the ROH World Championship and New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Championship title for title in that match. Moxley defending against Phoenix. Jericho taking on Sammy Guevara. Darby Allin and Sting taking on Christian and Luchasaurus. Mogul Embassy taking on the Hung Bucks. That's Adam Page as well as the Young Bucks. The World Six-Man Tag Team, ROH World Six-Man Tag Team is, titles are on the line there. It's been a long show. Acclaimed and Daddy Ass taking on Dark Order, Uno, Silver, and Reynolds, and that's for the Trios Championship. Guys, from there, Impact 1000 Week 2 taking place tomorrow. Matches taking place. So we got Mickie James, Trinity, Jordan Grace, Awesome Kong, Gail Kim taking on Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steelz, Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Angelina Love. Ultimate X match to determine the X Division Championship #1 contender. Angels taking on Ace Austin, Mike Bailey, Rich Swann, Samurai Del Sol, and Zachary Wentz. Josh Alexander taking on Trey Miguel. If you watched Impact last week, Alexander wasn't too happy with the disrespect by the Rascals, so it's going to be an interesting match there. Eric Young taking on Kenny King. Jake Something taking on Dirty Dango. Feast or Fired briefcases revealed. So the 4 men's briefcases, you'll see, I think it's 3 of them are championship briefcases, and then 1 of them gets fired. So it'll be interesting to see. And just want to make this of note. So Impact 1000 Week 1, Week 2 taking place last week. This week, EC3 was not contacted for Impact Wrestling 1000, so just a heads up there. Dixie Carter, I don't think was announced or contacted as well either. I know she was on X, so getting used to saying X, but EC3 wasn't even asked to be part of Impact 1000 for anybody wondering there. Guys, from there, upcoming events, PLE pay-per-view special events. So NXT No Mercy taking place on the 30th. AEW Wrestle Dream taking place on the 1st of October, so back-to-back pay-per-views there. Fastlane taking place on the 7th. UFC 294 Makachev taking on Oliveira 2 taking on place on October 21st. Impact Wrestling taking place Bound for Glory on the 21st as well. So I did that quicker than I expected. I'm not doing too bad. Guys, I'm going to go into Canadian Independent Wrestling right now. And as mentioned with regards to Shawn Rogers' deal taking place this coming Friday night. So guys, definitely check that out. TV premiere officially Friday, September 22nd, 10 p.m. on the schedule. Now, if it goes later, it's because the nights and the wrap are running a little bit late, but it's going to be on directly following the wrap. From there, Dorchester Fair, Dorchester, Ontario, Monday, October 9th, 1 p.m. Free with admission to the fair, as Shawn had stated. I think tickets, he said, were only $8, so you get to enjoy the fair, enjoy some wrestling as well. From there, Jobsite Brewing Company in Stratford, Ontario, Saturday, November 4th, 7 p.m. Then, guys, on top of that, other independent wrestling happened place in London. Like I said, London is a hotbed as far as independent wrestling goes. And it's different, as Shawn had said, different variations of independent wrestling. You've got your kind of your ECW style with regards to Greektown. You've got your WWE kind of style with regards to Smash. And then you've got your old school kind of style as far as Hammerlock Pure Wrestling goes. But tomorrow night, Smash Wrestling Fanshawe College at the Oasis. Thursday, September 21st, officially 8 p.m. Students are free. Non-students are $10. And then basically, I don't know how she's doing it, but Miley's on that show as well. God, she's got to be setting a record, I think, as far as the amount of wrestling she's done in the past. This probably be about 14 days or so, 15 days, but that's insane. This will be at least match 24 according to her Instagram. And then from there, guys, next show in London is Sunday, November 19th at the London Music Hall for Smash Wrestling. Greektown returns to London Friday, October the 13th. Marconi Club featuring Stu Grayson. Hopefully I'm going to get up to that one because I've got his AEW action figure. I wouldn't mind having that signed as a collector's item. From there, Saturday, October 14th, Hamilton featuring Homicide. And then Sunday, October the 15th, the Trifecta in Toronto featuring the one and only Conan. Where are we here? I get to the end of my notes and I cannot scroll down anymore, so I've got to be able to modify that. Live Pro Wrestling, yeah, I talked about Greektown. So Live Pro Wrestling charity fundraising event and barbecue. So I'm on Facebook last night, and my sister-in-law messaged me, and she's inviting me to this event. I was like, what is she inviting me to an event for? She never invites me to an event. Sure enough, it's wrestling based. I was like, what the hell? I looked at my wife. I said, yeah, your sister just invited me to a wrestling show. And she was like, what? So anyways, it's a live pro wrestling charity fundraising event and barbecue presented by Joe Dog Hallam, Goderich Memorial, the 14th, Goderich, Ontario. There's barbecue taking place at 4 p.m., all for charity, by the way, and then bell time at 6. And then finally, Wrestling is Life is Wrestling with Cody Deaner. Subscribe to him on Patreon. You get to watch the entire episode in its entirety without commercials. Not saying it's a bad thing because you give money to Deaner and his ads and everything else. But episode number 10 takes place tomorrow, premiering tomorrow with the one and only Steve Macklin. So, guys, that is it as far as independent wrestling goes. Now, to talk about my weekend. So it was a heck of a weekend. So I got to meet Erick Rowan, Eric Redbeard, on the 16th. That was cool. I realized how old my body is getting, though. And I say that the ring was a shorter ring, so to speak. So you've got I don't know the heights, but you've got the one that's near to the ground, like Hammerlock has, and they've got the mainstay ring, so to speak, with regards to say WWE, Impact Wrestling, all that sort of stuff goes. Well, during the Western Fair here in the city, they had used the smaller ring. So even to step up from that, I was like, man, this sucks. It's tough getting older, and and arthritis and everything else goes along with it. And just to get into the ring, and all of a sudden, Rowan is signing, his mask, these custom masks. And if you go onto my social media accounts, you can see me holding the mask. Now, $40 for the mask signature, get to meet him, plus the fact to find out it was hand painted by him was absolutely cool. So to do that was great. But getting in the ring, and I'll never forget this. So I step up to the ring and I'm holding on to the ropes, and I'm just waiting. And then whoever's before me leaves. From there, I'm stepping through the ropes, and I don't know how. Say, for example, anybody who outside the wrestling business seems to have this natural gift of getting in and out of a ring. I go and get in the ring, and Rowan kind of looks at me like, what the hell is this guy doing? And man, I was embarrassed. I was like, man, I could barely get through those ropes. And I'm like, at this point, starting to feel run down. And I really hadn't done too much. I'd gone to the Western Fair on the Friday. Saturday, I'd gone to Comic-Con, just to see what the atmosphere was like, everything else. And then Saturday night, I'm like, the end of the night, I'm waiting to get to meet Rowan. And like, I'm stepping through these ropes, and I'm like, man, I'm old at that. But the fact is, I'm feeling it. So I get home, I'm just super exhausted. Supposed to do the Q&A the next day with Jake the Snake Roberts. And like, I'm laying there in bed, I'm doing all my notes for him and this and that, and figure out what I'm going to say, the format, whatever the case may be. Only going to be a 45-minute Q&A on 11 o'clock on the Sunday morning. So not that big of a deal. And I'm doing these notes on my phone. I'm exhausted. I'm so exhausted. And I'm like, you know what? I'll be fine in the morning, whatever the case may be, get some sleep. Wake up the next morning, and I felt like a truck hit me. And I'm still not feeling the greatest. Sinuses are just absolutely going nuts. Energy is up and down. Took a COVID test. I'm not positive or anything like that, but it's definitely feeling some symptoms of whatever's going on. So I had to miss the Q&A, unfortunately. Anthony Kingdom James, for anybody who's familiar with Ontario Independent Wrestling, ended up filling in. So he ended up doing the Q&A. He was posted on Instagram and seemed super excited about it. I had a chat with him at Comic-Con on the Saturday, and he was giving me advice as far as the interview goes and everything else. So I was happy, happy for him, so to speak, with regards to doing it, because he seemed like he was just the pictures that he posted on Instagram, he just looked like he was enjoying himself. But good for him. Congrats to him with regards to doing the interview. But and Jake, not Jake the Snake, but Jake, I want to say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for thinking about me, by the way. Had a good conversation with him on Saturday, good conversation with this guy named Duker as well. And they were, hyping and prepping me up, and so to speak. And I was all set for it on the Sunday, except for the fact, my body just decided to say, hey, no, you're going to stay home and stay in bed. So, yeah, that kind of sucked. But, guys, on that note, it's been a great episode. Shawn, Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, once again, thank you for doing the show with me tonight. It's if you get a chance to check out Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, their next couple of shows, definitely check them out. If you're wondering what they're all about, guys, check them out on Rogers 13. It's the best way to be able to do it. That being said, last few things I will say. I'm just going to get rid of these banners here. Uh-oh. Huh. I've been using StreamYard for the better part of maybe 3 years and still discovering things. Thought I booted myself off, but I think I'm still good. Guys, the joys of being a podcaster who hasn't done this in like a while, but I'm still learning. I think Shawn just gave me a thumbs up in the background there. But whatever the case may be, guys, Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame 2024 class is coming up Thursday, January 18th, 2024. Voting begins on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. It's going to be here before we know it. And yeah, on top of that, guys, check me out at Chris Maloney CWN with regards to social media, Instagram, Reddit, as well as X. I want to say this so I don't look like an a-hole, but 6th wedding anniversary is coming up this coming Saturday. So happy anniversary to my wife. Not sure she's ever going to watch this episode, but I wanted to put it out there. So yeah, happy 6th anniversary to my wife, Christine. We're not going to do anything fancy. We've already discovered that. We're going to basically watch the Super Mario movie, which I have not seen yet. And we're going to chill with our 5-year-old daughter. And we've given her 3 options as far as food goes. It's going to be either pizza and wings. It's going to be Boston Pizza, a phenomenal menu. Or it's going to be, what was the third choice? Chinese food. So one of those 3 there. I'm going to do this. Shawn's in the background there. I want to get his thoughts on something. So there.
Hey. What up?
So you can see in the background there, Emile Duprée. Now, you grew up here in Ontario. I grew up in New Brunswick. It was a big part as far as my kind of growing up as a wrestling fan goes. What was your knowledge of Emile Duprée?
I didn't have any, to be honest. My wrestling experience was all WWE Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoon on CHCH. And if he did appear, it might have been when Ed Whalen did his roundtable show on TSN.
Now that being,
he would pick matches from different organizations.
Yeah, he used to Ed Whalen, to anybody who's unfamiliar with the name, huge part of Calgary Stampede Wrestling. He also he was a character, so he would get up in the faces of some of these heel wrestlers, so to speak, bad guy wrestlers, and if he didn't like what you were saying, he would point it out and get right up in your face and this and that. But Pro Wrestling Plus, I know we used to get down the Maritimes. Is that the roundtable, the kind of discussion thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, roundtable was probably the wrong version to say, but it was like a hodgepodge. He would go to present matches from different organizations. But yeah, it was Pro Wrestling Plus.
Yeah, so it's interesting that Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling only in the Maritimes seemingly, but as far as Pro Wrestling Plus goes, they did air. And then Shawn, probably familiar too with the AWA days back on TSN, ESPN. Eh?
Yep, and the tragic team challenge series, and then all of a sudden the wrestling in front of the chroma key, which is basically the forerunner to the Thunderdome.
Yeah,
concept that WWE did.
I think that's a block in my. Well, the Thunderdome I'm familiar with. The one that you just mentioned, no idea.
They would have basically a wrestling ring and a green screen, and you'd see the same people sitting side by side.
And this was AWA?
AWA in the dying days. There was probably a Thanksgiving turkey on a pole match that they did with Chroma Key as well.
I'm going to have to go Google this or YouTube it, whatever the case may be. I never knew about the green screen thing. That's high tech back when, in those days. But the fact is, to know that you'd see the same people just, it's like, I guess it'd be like Impact Wrestling tapings back when they were like TNA. You'd see the same fans, just 6 weeks straight. I'll get your thoughts on 2 things before I sign off.
No, you'd actually see you, and then a couple people down was going to be you again.
All right, that's like Simpsons territory right there. 2 thoughts before I sign off here. Number 1, what are your thoughts on the rumors of Jade Cargill? How familiar are you with her?
Not overly a big fan of Jade Cargill. Kind of seems like a Shaniqua meets Rhea Ripley, but obviously a lot of Goldberg thrown in there with just being fed people for a couple seconds and doing it. She didn't really go through any training per se, just got discovered next to Shaq, I guess. So we'll see what happens. And hey, as I heard on Cornette's show, they were talking about her. They can maybe complete that whole stuff with her and Brandy Rhodes now.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Except for Brandy's unofficially retired, so we'll have to wait and see there. Vince McMahon, I don't know if you've seen the news, but again, he's in hot water. I mean, is he gonna be protected through Endeavor the same way he was through his own company?
I don't think so. He has less say now, and yeah, it's unfortunate that his legacy is being tarnished the way it is, but at the same time, he brought it on himself. So, how bad do you feel for him at the same time?
And then finally, with regards to legacies, CM Punk, what is your prediction for him by the end of the year?
It would not surprise me if he shows up in WWE. He made those comments that he has a couple of months of nothing to do, and Chicago is the host of Survivor Series. And he did try and make amends with people backstage when he was in limbo before returning to AEW. Never say never in wrestling. Come on, who would have thought Bruno Sammartino would have been with WWE again before he passed?
Yeah, it's if I were to take a logical guess 10 years from now or 10 years ago, no way in the world. But because of what you mentioned with regards to Bruno and the Warrior and all the guys that made amends, it's never say never. And that's what they continue to say.
And they apparently did say that Triple H and Punk met and shook hands before he was asked to leave the building that time that he was there. So that's the person that he needed to make amends with, just like Vince did with Warrior and Bruno. This was Triple H and Punk.
Apparently, that being said, too, it was Vince's call that night to say, see you later to Punk, because I guess whatever the case may be, but it wasn't a Triple H decision from reports.
Well, it's a little understandable because he was still under contract to AEW. It could look like contract tampering.
Yeah, legal point. I didn't even think of that. All right, so guys, this has been episode number 3 of the Throwdown with Chris Maloney. Again, thank you to Shawn for being part of the show. And like I said, check out here at Hammerlock Pure. Well, you know what? I'll let him close the show. I'm going to kick myself off, and then Shawn can tell you once again. It'll be the first time ever I kick myself off my own show, but Shawn can tell you once again how to check out Hammerlock Pure Wrestling this coming Friday night.
Yeah, thank you. Hammerlock Pure Wrestling, hammerlockpurewrestling.com. We're also on all your socials, especially Facebook and Messenger. Easy to contact us that way. You got also your Instagram, your X, TikTok. Those are all going on. And, of course, you're going to be able to watch us Friday nights after the night's games on Rogers TV here in London at 10 p.m. And coming up in October, we'll be in the Chatham Sarnia area on your TV with Coach Go. So thanks, everybody, and definitely reach out. We love to have partnerships. Have a great night.